Alright, man. Yo, this the biggest Libra, and I'm back with another video, man. This is about Rashad Jamal type shit. A little interview he had did, I guess, a few months back. I'm new to the internet shit, so yeah, back there what it is, man.
An incarcerated individual at Hayes State Prison. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Please note, due to recent federal legislation, some of our services may have changed. Please visit securoushelp.com and search FCC order for details. Thank you. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charge, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
What's that word, man? Today we got Rashad Jamal with us, man. He a figure who has inspired many with, his spiritual teachings, but at the same time, he been at the center of controversy. So now we got on here, we got a raw, honest conversation, finna dive into the truth, let them know what's going on. Rashad Jamal, what's that word?
Peace, God, man. Peace to God, the guys of Planet God, man. Peace, King Positive Energy. I was Chris Elevation, man. What's up, 16? What it do, man?
It's long overdue, man. I remember you had reached out a minute ago. I kind of wasn't really too familiar back then, though. I had knew your name and shit, but I had just went through a rabbit hole, everything tied to you, and it's a lot, man. I don't know where to start.
right, for sure. Yeah, so definitely a lot.
For the people that might not know you, I just want you to give us like a little intro. Take us back to the beginning. What was your life like before the teachings and shit and the platform you got?
Pretty much just like collagen on crack. It's like liquid gold. Really good time to stock up. The jars are the best. That's what I use at home.
Well, originally, man, I come out of Chicago, man. I'm from 1100. That's the Needs in the Noble. That's the Brady Green area. My mama and born and raised in the projects. And, when they start the gentrification process, like they're doing a lot of communities, you know what I'm saying? We moved down to the Needs in the Noble, you know what I'm saying? That's 1100. That's why I'm born and raised Chicago. Went to school out west, Mason Elementary, you know what I'm saying? Definitely, participated in the music, you know what I'm saying? Did my thing in high school and sports and shit like that. Run track, playing basketball. Definitely focused on the rap. That's what the heart was at. You know what I'm saying? So that's really how things started for me, you know what I'm saying? And just really coming up in the streets, man, and being a product of, the environment of Chicago, being a product of the rap, you feel me?
So was it like a specific moment or event that led to you, speaking about things you're speaking on? Like I hear you speaking on being like a celestial being and stuff like that. And can you also break that down and explain to people what that is?
Oh yeah, for sure. So basically to be 100 with y'all, I always was, tapped in, I always had my third eye open, God. I always was trying to spread truth, but at the same time, going to Chicago, the environment where I come from, you know how it is, like in our city, the vibration's real low. We see a lot of negativity. We grew up around a lot of violence, you know what I'm saying? So growing up like that, a lot of my homies, when I try to tell them about, black activism or how we need to come together and who the enemy, they wasn't trying to hear that type of shit, you know what I'm saying? So what I end up doing was
stop violence and type shit. Niggas do not be trying to hear no shit like that, but I swear to God, they do not be trying to hear it. I get it in some instances, like some shit is just, it gotta go there sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But it crazy.
I end up like silencing myself. I end up basically, falling into the peer pressure of going up in the streets of the rap of Chicago. So I always been around, I always been loyal. So my homies was in the street life and gang banging, so that's what I had turned to support my homies and just to survive in everyday life. So I did that for a long time, and eventually, that led to me being incarcerated in like 2012 on the first degree attempt murder. When I beat that case in trial, come home 2016, I vowed to change my life around because I learned a lot and seen a lot. But I still hadn't fully started like teaching publicly yet and nothing like that. Like what I became known for as a poet, a philosopher, a spiritual guru, any of that. That ain't started to 2020. What inspired that though was when George Floyd got killed by the police. So when he got killed by the police, it was just like it was like an overflow of the emotions that I felt within myself, because he wasn't the first person to get killed by the police or nothing like that, but it was like back to back. We had a lot of incidents, over that 10-year period from like 2010 to 2020, where the police was killing us and it was getting a lot of media attention. So when I seen George Floyd, down like that on that camera with the knee to the neck.
I got the Fanny Potter when I ain't belong. I needed me a diet rider, I need me a one.
An officer, that just made me say, fuck it. I'm like, man, we've been killing each other forever, so we fight each other, killing each other, man, when the real enemy killing us. So I end up, as you know, the protests broke out all over the country. It started in Minnesota, and I was in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta in 2017, so I was in Atlanta when the protests hit. So I went downtown Atlanta, and I was on the front line of the protests, and, I watched the police beat old women, women that was just sitting down trying to say, Black Lives Matter. I've seen that firsthand. You know what I'm saying? They clubbing our elderly women and our younger women. I watched it. So then us, the men out there, we stopped fighting the police back. And we took a beat. You know what I'm saying? They got on our ass. They 12. But what really pissed me off and got me going was when I got back home and I turned the news on and I seen how they had flipped the narrative. Like, they just made it seem like we was downtown Atlanta riding and doing all that. And that wasn't the case. Everything started off as a peaceful protest until they started putting their hands on the elderly women and beating them with the clubs, with their nightclubs, and spraying everybody and shit like that. So I was just so frustrated. I ended up going live on Facebook and I was just speaking out about how we've been out here being oppressed for so long, and they want us to believe that oppression is over with, but that's really not the truth. And I just started, just going in about the subject, speaking passionately, and letting know, like, listen, man, I'm ready to die for our freedom, because I grew up in the streets gang banging, and there was a million nights where I put my life on the line for my homies, for my hood, and I was willing to die for less. So that's a real purpose and a real cause that we need to be fighting for, just like our elders did, our ancestors did before us. And when I did that, it had maybe it ended up going viral on Facebook. And then the next day, everybody's like, man, that was some real shit. You need to go live again. You need to go live again. So I ain't with this going live shit. Because at that time, I'm still focused on rapping. COVID had just hit, so the whole world was kind of like on pause. And then, I ended up going live the next day. And then I ended up with 50 people on the live. And they go live again. I went live the next day. The next day was 100 people, in a week, God. It just, took off, almost overnight. Now, 500, 600, 700 people on the live. And now it went from me talking about police brutality to me talking about ancient Egypt and ancient Kemet. And, how this our land and how, black folks never came on slave ships and how we actually the original Indians and how we divine beings. And that led to me teaching people that we divine beings. And basically, us being divine beings is because us being black folks, but the reason we the black and Latino community is because we got carbon in our skin. So I got to do my research, and if you do your research, carbon is the basis on which all life is formed. You know what I'm saying? So as black people, that's why our skin is actually black, because of the carbon in our skin. And I was researching, I'm like, man, I know it's been a lot of racism from white America. Not all white folks bad though, but there's been a lot of racism from some of them. And I'm trying to figure out, it can't just because of our skin complexion. You know what I'm saying? So as I kept researching, going deeper and deeper, I found out that, we got carbon in our skin. We give life to the sun, and the sun gives life to us, and the sun gives life to everything on the planet. But when Caucasians step in the sun, they get them cancer and kill them. But I thought it did that for all of us, because that's what they taught us in school growing up. And doing my research, nah, they don't have souls. They only have spirits, and they don't have an open pineal gland, which is the third eye, which sits between your two eyebrows, the actual gland in our brain, the pineal gland, the third eye. So it makes sense why in ancient Egypt they always showed the one eye symbolism. So as I'm going deeper and deeper, I start meditating and just researching, and it just led to this awareness of why they hated us so much over the years, and how we used to live in ancient Africa, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, compared to how we is today, and how Chicago and Detroit, LA, and all these cities used to be ancient tribal locations. For example, Chicago is named after Chief Chicago, which was the chief of the Illinois Confederacy. You know what I'm saying? Chief Chicago, Chief Black Hawk. So, coming out the city, I'm like, hold on. We got hockey teams, called the Black Hawks and shit. So I'm like, oh, that's why they call the hockey team the Black Hawks. Oh, that's why they call it Chicago. Then I found out that the Illinois Confederacy was one of the most powerful tribes. And then I found out that these were all black people. You know what I'm saying? These wasn't no Indians, like we the Indians. And then, that's why, if you ask your grandmama or you go back a couple generations, every black person will be like, I got some Indian in me, but that's because we the Indians. Like, we was Cherokee, Sequoia, we was different tribes. Just back in the 1800s, 1700s, we was all these different tribes, and they lied to us in history in their school, got us thinking that we was all in Africa. So as all this shit was coming out and being revealed, it made sense to why they hate us, because, okay, they came and took the land from us, enslaved us in our land, named all these cities after our ancient words. Like Chicago was an ancient word for power, or powerful. Chicago means powerful. It was a tribal word that we spoke. Yeah, it was a tribal word that we spoke. And actually, Lake Michigan was the place where they buried a lot of our ancestors. That was an open ditch, an open grave where they dumped our bodies. That we was going to war with them. We was going to war with these what they call the Spanish conquistadors, or what we know as the slave masters of today that took the land from us. So you get to finding out, like, okay, this is how we was building the pyramids, because we were so tapped in with nature and everything around us. Like I say, our ability to channel the energy of the sun is next level, because, we have this carbon in our skin. So then that explains why we faster than them, why we wild bloody than them, why our babies start walking before theirs. It explains a lot, why they don't want to grow our ether out. It just took me on this long, deep journey. And I just started feeding that back to the people, God, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I started finding out that we actually gods, you know what I'm saying? Because we are children of Almighty God, which is why even Jesus said in the Bible that ye are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Because Jesus was actually black, but they paid him as white. So you get to see the impact of white supremacy and how they took everything from us and put their face on it. You know what I'm saying? You got Mount Rushmore with a bunch of white faces, but ain't nobody white discovered nothing over here in America. You know what I'm saying? Everything was taken from us. And this is how we had the movements in the 60s and stuff like that, where our people was more aware before they started, bringing the drugs in our communities in the 80s, and then the drugs turned all the gangs into gangs, because all the gangs started off as organizations to protect the community, the GDs and the Blackstones, the Jeff Ford, and them, and the Latin Kings, and the Crips, and the Bloods, So it just took me on this long journey, man, and I'm like, okay, so this is why they hate us, this is why they oppress us, this is why they keep us against each other. You know what I'm saying? And I just start feeding it to the people, and give them a lot of information that a lot of people didn't know.
Hey, man, y'all be safe out there. I fuck with y'all, boy, man.